Welcome, everyone, to our February 10th Municipality of Tweed Council meeting. We always begin our meetings with our land acknowledgement. The Municipality of Tweed recognizes that our work takes place on traditional Indigenous territories, including the Huron-Wendat, Anishinaabe, and the Haudenosaunee peoples. We recognize and respect the history, languages, and cultures of the First Nations, Métis, Inuit, and all Indigenous peoples whose presence continues to enrich our communities. Miigwech. So I'm just reordering my agenda.
Ron, this user fee review, the last page was off, I couldn't read it. If you look at my thing, I can't see any of it. There's two tabs, right? Oh, but it's not right off on mine, I don't know why, I can't bring it up, I wasn't able, you got a paper, or? Yeah, good check.
Okay, could I have a mover and a seconder to table the agenda for today's meeting? Oh, sorry, Canada, thank you. I got distracted by Jamie there. Thank you. Really? Okay, I'm sorry. So could I have a mover and a seconder to table the agenda for today, please? Thank you, Councillor Valiquette. Thank you, Councillor Fleeler. I would like to make a recommendation that we move the closed session up until after the delegations, only because there's things that we discuss in close that influence things to be discussed later. Is everybody in favor if we make? Okay, so be it resolved that the agenda for the February 10th, 2026 regular council meeting be approved as presented, and further that council agree to modify the order of business for this meeting so that closed meeting be brought forward and in the agenda to be held prior to departmental reports. All in favor? Thank you. Are there any disclosures of pecuniary interest? Oh, seeing none. Are there, could I have a mover and a seconder to table the adoption of the minutes from the January 13th, 2026 regular council meeting, please? Thank you, Deputy Mayor Marsh. Thank you, Councillor Valiquette. Any questions on said minutes? Seeing none. Be it resolved that the minutes of the January 13th, 2026 regular council meeting be adopted as presented. All in favor? Notification of closed meeting. The council will hold a closed meeting during the regular council meeting pursuant to Section 2392 of the Municipal Act 2001, SO 2001 C25, as amended to consider the following matters. Personal matters about an identifiable individual, including municipal or local board employees. My mayor's remarks. Sorry, my mayor's remarks are quite long today because I want to report back on our delegations. First of all, they did it again. The gift that keeps on giving. Our festival trees, now in its 21st year, raised $28,500, a record amount, bringing their total contribution to local programming to a mind-blowing $351,500. Thank you, thank you, thank you. What an achievement. Moving on, I hope you have all heard of Tricia Black, because she certainly loves our community. In a recent Quinte Arts Council article profiling the hilarious actor and comedian, Tricia notes, Growing up in and around small towns, I felt right at home in Tweed, and it has taught me so much about community and about how important telling local and Canadian stories are. They can resonate far beyond a small town because the stories are of human connection, struggle, and joy. Tricia has appeared and written many Tweed & Co. productions. Since her time with us, she has been cast in a variety of commercials as well as television shows such as Murdoch Mysteries, Kim's Convenience, and the film Broken Hearts Gallery. A link to the article can be found in my mayor's comments. Well, it has certainly been one heck of a winter. Once again, I want to express our sincere gratitude to our Public Works team for everything they do to keep us safe. We truly cannot ask for a better group of heroes. And it has been cold. In fact, when I ran into Ed Hunt, he chuckled. It was so cold out there, I saw the mayor walking with his hands in his own pockets. Thank you, Ed. On January 11th, I attended the Hastings County Community and Human Services Committee. That afternoon, I was interviewed by Lindsay Heron of 91X Loyalist College Radio as part of a series of interviews with regional mayors on their hopes and the issues facing their communities. I've included a link to that interview in my mayor's comments. I have a follow-up interview with Lindsay at 11 a.m. on February 19th, where I will speak about our Roma delegations. On January 17th, Councillor Valiquette, CAO Diski, and I left for the Rural Ontario Municipal Association Roma Conference held in Toronto. We were a busy group delivering 6 delegation presentations. I will speak more about each later in my remarks. We returned on January 20th. On the 21st, I chaired the Hastings County Planning and Development Committee and later participated in the County Finance, Property and Personnel meeting. On the 22nd, I attended a Kiwanis meeting, followed by a visit to Fire Hall to bring greetings from the municipality, welcoming regional firefighters attending a mutual aid Fire Hall meeting. I was joined by CAO Diski. On the 24th, Councillor Fleeler and I brought municipal birthday greetings to Fernley Davies, who was celebrating his 90th birthday. As many will recall, Fernley served our community as both animal control officer and town crier. Happy 90th, Fernley. On the 26th, CAO Diski and I met with Dan Van Exen to discuss a strategy for engaging provincial decision makers. I then chaired the Joint Fire Services Board meeting, joined by Deputy Mayor Demarche and CAO Diski. Later that day, Deputy Mayor Demarche, Councillors Fleeler and Valiquette, CAO Diski, and I joined MPP Breezy at our water plant, where he announced $820,000 in funding for well improvement upgrades. We are extremely grateful for this funding. It marks our first successful application in 4 years. I'm aware that there have been questions with why this funding focused on the well rather than roads. This funding was accessed through the health and safety water stream, while our road and bridge requests fall under different programs. I remain optimistic that additional infrastructure funding will be secured this year. I will be following up with MPP Breezy in the coming weeks regarding our Roma delegation and next steps. Later that afternoon, CAO Diski and I attended an OPP costing seminar. On the 27th, I attended the Central Hastings Support Network Transit meeting. On the 29th, I participated in the Hastings County Council meeting. I want to thank Deputy Mayor Demarche and Councillors Fleeler and Valiquette for raising our Black History flag on February 3rd. As noted in our municipal post, the 2026 theme is 30 Years of Black History Month, honoring Black brilliance across generations, celebrating the enduring contributions of Black Canadians while recognizing the emerging leaders and changemakers shaping Canada's future. On February 7th, we were thrilled to announce the grand opening of Restore Allied Health Centre. Thank you to Deputy Mayor Demarche and Councillors Fleeler and Valiquette for attending. Earlier that day, the Lions Club hosted the Pinewood Derby, always a fun-filled event, with a bit of a twist this year. Councillor Fleeler entered his own souped-up creation to take on Jim Keniston and his marveling wheels of magnificence. Let the rivalry begin. Councillor Fleeler has since reported that his interest came in third, leaving rival Jim Keniston in the dust. However, a rematch of just these two saw Jim Keniston walking away with a smile on his face. Thank you to Councillor Fleeler and Councillor Valiquette for serving as judges at this annual event, and to Deputy Mayor Demarche for attending. Turning to our Roma delegations, I'm grateful that Councillor Valiquette and CAO Diskey accompanied me to each meeting. Councillor Valiquette's experience and presence were particularly impactful during our delegation with Solicitor General Kirchner. At this delegation, we focused on OPP costs and our OPP cost repatriation proposal. I opened the session as I did for all our delegations. And then I introduced Councillor Valiquette as a retired OPP detachment commander for Central Hastings Madoc, and I provided a brief bio. The mood changed immediately. Councillor Valiquette engaged those at this table, speaking about his role as an officer and the importance of the OPP before addressing the impact of rising costs in small communities. The ice was broken. We were all friends. I then presented our proposal. At the conclusion of the meeting, the Solicitor General noted that the municipality of Tweed brings not only issues, but solutions. He acknowledged that while it was too late for consideration this year, our proposal would be seriously considered in 2027. Well done, Councillor Valiquette. I also want to thank MPP Brise for attending and for speaking positively about our community. Our delegation with the Infrastructure Minister McCarthy was another amazing meeting. We began with the minister noting that he has relatives in Tweed. He identified the Clements, to which I chimed in, "You don't admit you're related to the Clements back home." We all shared a great chuckle, and then he referenced Nellie Clement. I mentioned that if I don't get my funding, I'm going to tell Nellie Clement, and you don't want to mess with Nellie. Another incredible, wonderful exchange. During the delegation, we tabled support for three urgent infrastructure priorities. Flitton Road at $1.4 million, which functions as a major corridor and emergency detour route. 3 prefabricated bridge replacements at $1.94 million. And Marlbank Road at $925,000, a key arterial route connecting highways 41 and 37. Each project addresses safety, liability, and network connectivity concerns that can no longer be deferred. At the close of the meeting, Minister McCarthy instructed his Assistant Deputy Minister, Trevor Fleck, to reach out to CIO Diskey. Before our next delegation, ADM Fleck had already made contact. We now have a man on the inside. We are so thankful that the county CIO, Dory, joined us for this delegation. Our third delegation was with Parliamentary Assistant Smith, representing the Ministry of Municipal Affairs and Housing. Yet again, we were welcomed with open arms, literally. PA Smith remembered us from a delegation 2 years ago and came rushing around the table and gave me a big hug, noting how wonderful it was to see me again. Here, we tabled our proposal to support small rural and northern housing developers. We elaborated on how we've delivered on the Premier's request to encourage affordable housing, highlighting zoning bylaw changes, including supporting urban densification, including tiny homes, smaller homes, additional residential units, mobile homes on rural lots, reduced lot sizes and setbacks, fewer parking space requirements, and no development fees. PA Smith was busily taking notes, and I hope she wasn't working on her grocery list. She asked many questions, was genuinely interested, and we left feeling heard. Again, County CIO Dory's participation added meaningful weight to the presentation. At the close of each delegation, I noted that I spoke with Premier Ford the week prior, and I would be reporting back to him on our discussions as he requested. Our next 3 delegations were with opposition parties. As I've stated in the past, we believe it is important for all parties to be aware of the issues we are facing. Each leader knows us well. NDP leader Merritt Stiles came to Tweed in 2024, as did Green Party Mike Schreiner. The Liberal delegation was hosted by MPP Ted Hsu, who has visited our community twice to witness firsthand our infrastructure challenges. Each party welcomed us as friends, genuinely worried about the issues facing small rural and northern communities. They know our story, they know our issues, and they understand that advocacy can at times be detrimental to our cause. Both Leader Stiles and MPP Hsu cited challenges facing the municipality of Tweed during the Roma plenary address. We even had Roma attendees mention that if you want a good handle on the issues facing small rural and northern Ontario, you need to talk to the municipality of Tweed. I believe this is why Leader Stiles asked me to participate in a one-on-one interview to discuss these challenges. I noted at that time that there would be no government bashing, only a frank discussion about the demise of small rural and Northern Ontario. We cannot thank the opposition parties enough for championing our cause. All delegation speeches have been posted to our website along with my mayor's comments. Lastly, and on a sad note, at least for me, I wish to announce that I will not be running for mayor in the next election. This decision has not come lightly. It has been such a great honor to serve as your mayor. I have fought hard to secure the funding we need to ensure that we can thrive as a community. To that end, I believe my fight has done us more harm than good. I will speak more to that at another time. Chuck and I came to this community 19 and a half years ago to be closer to aging parents. Chuck's mom passed away in 2009, my mom in 2023, and my dad in 2025, a year ago tomorrow. These past years have been particularly hard as the principal caregiver. I have been very close to my parents, and this was the first Christmas in my 69 years that I did not spend Christmas Day with one or both of them. Nonetheless, it is a gift afforded to me and one denied to many. We are extremely grateful how welcoming you have been to us as a gay couple. During our first visit to Tweed in 2006, in an attempt to recruit Chuck as a family doctor, we were greeted by a sign that read, "Welcome Chuck and Dawn." That sign convinced us to make Tweed our home. Since that day, you have welcomed us with open minds, open eyes, and open hearts. You embraced us, and we embraced you. However, as a result of my decision not to seek a second term, and with Chuck having retired from Gateway Community Health Center, we have been reflecting on life's next chapter. Chuck spent nearly 20 years here supporting my family, and he would now like to be closer to his own. This is a request I cannot deny and one I embrace. Therefore, our home will be soon placed on the market as we bid farewell to a place we have called home for nearly 20 of our 33 years together. Please note that I intend to serve my full term as mayor until the next council is elected. I remain committed to this role and to this community. Thank you, Tweed. It has been a privilege and an honor, and not one that I will walk away from lightly this November. Thank you. Okay, so moving on, and we have a huge agenda. Okay, delegations. We have two delegations. First is Lindsay. Lindsay Nash she's an outreach and stewardship coordinator with Quinte Conservation. She will be speaking about seeking municipal support for Quinte Conservation's application of the Green Municipal Fund, Growing Canada's Community Canopies. Welcome, Lindsay. Now, is your microphone on?
Hello?
Yes, okay. Good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Good. Thank you. All right. Starting on the next slide. My name is Lindsay Nash. I am the Outreach and Stewardship Coordinator at Quinte Conservation. Next slide. So I am here today to obtain council support to apply as the lead applicant for the Growing Canada's Canopy, the Green Municipal Fund, Growing Canada's Canopy. I'm going to refer to that as the GMF Fund moving forward. Next slide. So Quinte Conservation, alongside the Quinte Urban Forest Network, is proposing to be the lead applicant for this fund. So by doing so, we are providing our 18 municipalities the option to leverage funding and staff report for tree planting projects. Now, that can fit into your existing programs or future proposed planting projects individually, as long as the trees have not been planted by the time we have obtained the funds. As lead, Quinte Conservation is going to focus on planting a diverse range of native species of trees and shrubs. Next slide. So projects that are eligible is actually quite a wide range of different types of tree planting projects, as long as it has long-term or permanent forestry intention. So we can include street tree planting, urban planting, park planting, riparian planting, forest restoration, and reforestation on both public and private lands. Next slide. So projects that are not eligible would be proposing to transition naturally healthy wetland or grassland ecosystems into forests. That's because they are thriving, healthy ecosystems all on their own. And the focus would be to transition spaces that have historically been altered. A maintenance plan and a survival assessment report are required following each project, which means we may not be able to include the community trees giveaway in this program, although I'm still working on it. Next slide. So my timeline is to go to all of our member municipalities in February, as I'm doing now. And this is really important because I cannot apply for the fund without municipal support. So because it is a municipal fund. Now, even if you don't want to engage your municipal staff or your municipal programs in this application, by still providing some support anyway, it unlocks the fund for Quinte Conservation to partner with your municipal groups, like private interest groups such as Field Naturalists, Lions Club, Rotary, churches, schools, and like any other group like that to do tree planting projects and access this fund. So even if you're don't have the capacity to take it on at a staff level, it is still beneficial to provide support for your community.
Lindsay, if I may?
Yeah.
So say, for example, we got the Kiwanis Club and the Lions
Mhm.
Club, and they said they'd each contribute 1,000. Would we channel it through us and then to you?
No, we can just do it directly.
Okay.
Mhm.
Would that count as like our 50%? Like, so that would give us, say they each contribute 1,000, that's 2,000. Is that like our 50% contribution to this? Like, I think I saw something you said you have to contribute 50% of what you're seeking.
Yep.
Could that work towards our 50%?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll get into the cost match here in a moment. So yeah, February, this is what I'm up to. And then by the end of March, I'm making a deadline for municipalities and those private interest groups to get back to me with how they want to move forward and what their plans are, and what projects they think would be beneficial for this fund. So I'm giving myself another month after that. So by the end of April, I'm going to apply for the grant formally, with a professionally reviewed planting plan, along with a urban forestry grant coach, which is provided by the GMF fund. Now, there's about a 6 to 8 month waiting period after applying before we would hear back or receive the funds. So that puts planting at fall 2026 or spring 2027. Now, there isn't a rush because after receiving the funds, we have a period of 2 years to actually plant the trees. And then afterwards, we would continue to monitor and report on our planting projects. Next. So Quinte Conservation would be looking for a few things in order to partner with our municipalities and private interest groups. And that includes the letter of support from council, which is what I'm after today. A financial contribution of 50%. I'll get to that in a moment. Tree planting budget with the source of funding identified, and identification of existing and proposed programs that you want to engage. So basically a proposal. And then the next 2 points, identify sites where an increase in tree canopy would be beneficial, either on private or public lands, and any data or current tree canopy or studies to support the need for trees. This can be as detailed or not detailed as you'd like, because obviously some municipalities already have really in-depth studies, some don't. That information would just go to make our application stronger. In exchange, Quinte Conservation will coordinate administrative and logistical aspects of the application, assist with leveraging additional funding where possible, will act as a liaison between municipalities, local interest groups, and the funders, and we will submit the final reporting. Next slide. So the financial details. This is a 50% match cost share grant with a minimum project budget of $50,000. Now, I realize most municipalities in our area don't have a tree planting budget of $50,000. So this would be why it would be beneficial to engage as a group with Quinte Conservation, because if we put in a little bit from each municipality and a little bit from each of those private interest groups who are already planning to plant trees within our watershed, then we can meet that $50,000 together. And when I spoke with the funders, they did want me to let you guys know that there is a cap of $10 million. So we can't exceed that. So half of the budget would be covered by the fund, and then the other half could come from municipal budget, private interest groups such as the Kiwanis Club, other grants, as long as they're not funded by the 2 Billion Trees program or Trees Canada. So that's how this program is funded. So you can't match dollars coming from the same source, but you can stack grants from any other source. And then fundraising or any other way you can think of generating funds also counts. So hopefully that answers your question before.
Oh, yes.
Yep.
Lindsay, so private individuals, say, want to contribute through the municipality, is that something that's allowable as well? So say if I wanted to give, say, $50, could that be part of the overall pot as well?
Yeah, that would be great. Yeah, if people want to donate, like that counts.
Okay, thank you.
But it also counts for if private landowners are planning to do some reforestation, because I realize you guys are probably still working on reforestation after the tornado.
We had purchased a whack of trees, like actually quite large trees, to address exactly what you were talking about, those people who were devastated by that tornado that hit us in July 2022. But there's still a need for more trees. My question was going to be, like, are we talking small trees now, or?
They're a wide range of sizes. So it's my understanding that they would also support larger caliper trees.
And in working with you, could a private group say, I would like to use these kinds of trees, or are you going to say, we're going for diversity, so you have to have a wide variety of different trees?
Definitely native. We're not planting any non-native.
Yeah.
And we want to encourage diversity, opposed to, like, if you're planting 100 trees, we don't want to plant 2 species, because the next emerald ash borer or beech bark disease that comes through, you're going to have the problem of losing half your forest. So if we're planting 100 trees, maybe we want to plant like 7, 8, 10 different types, and that makes your forest more resilient.
Will you have something just describing like what you're saying, and that we can post and send around, and even send directly to the people who are impacted by the tornado? Because we have tens of thousands of trees that were down as a result of that.
Yeah, I bet. So after I've gone through and figured out which municipalities are interested and what groups may be interested, we're going to work on a communications piece that the municipalities can share, which could include a letter, social media posts, to see what the interest is from the public, as well as those private groups.
Okay.
And okay, so what we can do is we can increase your municipal tree planting budget, whatever you've already had budgeted for 2026, but we can't replace it. So let's say you have $5,000 for trees. We just want to match that and double it. We're not looking necessarily to reinvent the wheel or have you come up with new sources of funding. If you already have $5,000, great, let's match it. We'll make that 10.
Okay.
And then this grant also cannot be part of any legal tree planting requirements. So if you have a bylaw where you cut down so many trees, you have to replace so many trees, that won't count as well. So, next slide. Okay, so implementing a watershed-wide tree planting initiative through different levels of partnership creates capacity for the community to work together while supporting climate resilience close to home. So there's many benefits to planting trees, specifically climate resiliency through flood retention, which is a big reason why Quinte Conservation's into planting trees. But then planting trees also reduces carbon dioxide from the air and produces oxygen, which is good for physical health. Trees reduce heat island effects in urban areas and cools buildings with shade in the summer, as well as providing a windbreak in the winter. Mental health is improved by connecting with nature, and diverse tree species promote healthy soils, as well as habitat for living things that are specific to the Quinte area. And this aligns with Quinte Conservation's vision to advance watershed knowledge and collective actions to strengthen our natural ecosystems. So on the next slide, I have my contact information if you need to get a hold of me. And if you have any questions, let me know.
Thank you. Brad, we engaged with you to help us do shoreline planting as a result of that, did we not?
Yeah.
Yes, so you've been a partner with us for quite some time and helping us with the dealing with the impacts of that tornado. So we're extremely grateful for working with us in the past, and hopefully we'll be able to work with you in the future on this next initiative. Does anybody else have any questions? Go ahead, Councillor Fleeler.
Thank you, Your Worship. So Lindsay, at the last meeting, board meeting, I asked a question about red pine.
Mm-hmm.
And we're not gonna see the benefit of that ourselves, but over the years, they have these red pine plantations that are coming, they're maturing right now, and you did also speak about planting one or two different varieties that might not be an advantage. I think that's what you said. Would it make any sense to try to plant a red pine plantation here and there? Or would it be better for us to be more diverse and plant different varieties?
Our focus is planting diversity.
Okay.
If we were foresters, maybe we would say, let's go.
Okay.
Let's go with a plantation, but
So
our focus is
the
diversity.
other thing I have is this is a 50%. So if we put in 50,000, it's $100,000 advantage.
Yeah, but you don't have to put in 50.
No, I understand that, but
Yeah.
collectively, I think we can do that. I think we can do that quite easily, really.
You mean with all
Mhm.
of us together, yeah.
Yeah, so,
Mhm.
and it doesn't make any difference where we plant the trees, as long as we plant the trees. Is that what we're saying? Okay.
Yes,
So,
like Quinte Conservation's focus is really on riparian planting, but the purpose of the grant is really quite a wide range.
okay,
Also, your request for a letter comes up later in our agenda, and we'll be dealing, so you'll hear right away, okay? And I don't think that's going to be a problem, but anyway. Any other questions of Lindsay? Thank you very much. Appreciate your coming. Wonderful
Thank
news,
you.
good story. Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
Very good. Okay, we're going to move on to our second delegation. Mark Boone, a regulations officer and Quinte Conservation, will attend the council meeting to provide a presentation re the River Street West subdivision. Thank you and welcome.
Yeah, thank you for inviting me today to talk about, I guess, not only the River Street subdivision, but a little bit of background about source water protection and all the work that's been done on the Tweed Wellhead Protection Area. Myself, in addition to being a regulations officer, I guess I'm truly more a hydrogeologist. I've worked in the Quinte area for a little bit better than 36 years now. First 15 years worked at a private consulting company doing hydrogeological studies. Then, as we all know, the terrible tragedy at Walkerton happened and the world of conservation authorities changed. I've been at Quinny for over 21 years now. I've seen from the beginning of the source water protection program to where we are currently. So I recognize some of you may not have had the benefit of the development of some of those things. So I have put together a presentation today which touches on some of the work that was completed to give you an understanding of the wellhead protection area. And I mentioned Walkerton, and it's hard to believe that happened 26, it was the year 2000, May of 2000, 26 years ago. Kind of turned the world of groundwater upside down on its head. And I just want to touch a little bit on that because the story kind of relates to why we're here talking about wellhead protection areas today. There was all kinds of things. It was basically the perfect storm, which started with a farmer that had spread some manure on a field within 100 meters of one of the municipal wells. He did nothing wrong. It was perfectly fine. He was following acceptable practices to spread the manure. He even went a step further and incorporated the manure into the soil, which is a best management practice. Following him applying the manure, there was horrendous rains. There was 4 days or so of rains. They had between 4 or 5 inches of rainfall. That washed some of the manure and the nutrients and the bacteria down into the groundwater. It reached one of the wells. And then we know there was a lot of errors done on the operator's side. They didn't have the chlorination going, just basically the perfect storm. So I mentioned that because nobody knew that the groundwater in that area flowed towards the well. Nobody knew what a wellhead protection area was. So now we do have the benefit of all that knowledge and all the legislation that fell out of the Walkerton crisis. So we are able to make informed, educated decisions. I did put a PowerPoint presentation together here.
Just speaking to that, my cousin's husband, mother died as a result of the Walkerton.
Oh, no.
Yeah, so I know very well what you're talking about.
Yeah, and I guess today, like I've never been to Walkerton. I'd like to go someday. I know the well 5, the famous well that got contaminated. They got rid of it, but there are still hundreds of people suffering health effects from that, kidney problems. So death ultimately, really bad. Okay, I'm going to try to go through this presentation for you. I'm of the age where I need to get bifocals. I don't have them yet. So I have my paper copy. So forgive me if I'm going back and forth. I don't know if this pointer will work. It does not. I can't figure out why pointers won't show up on TVs.
They did. I saw it there.
Yeah, above. But once I go to the TV,
Yeah, it's on there.
can you see it?
Yeah, it's on the screen.
See it a wee bit.
I can see it.
I can't. Your guys' eyes are better than mine because I cannot pick that up. So I may have to go to the screen to point a few
That's
things
okay.
out too, if I
Yeah.
have to. So at the beginning, it was after legislation was established, Quinny Conservation was assigned a source water protection region. One of the things that we had to do was establish the Source Water Protection Committee, which was a committee separate from the Conservation Authority Board. These people just look at source water protection. That's their sole purpose. The committee was to be made up of multi-stakeholders. So it wanted to be representatives of the community that could make community level decisions. It's listed here on the slide. There's 18 members in total. The chair of the committee was appointed by the province of Ontario. We had no choice in who the chair would be. And we actually had a really excellent chair who has since retired. 4 municipal members made up of municipal councillors. Joanne Albert was the longtime standing member. I'm not sure if her seat has ever been filled, but I think we do have a vacancy on the committee. If any of you guys want to get involved.
It was interesting because I was approached and I couldn't do it. And I reached out to Councillor Valiquette and he was going to do it, but nobody got back to us.
Oh.
Yeah.
We'll reach out. We have some changes happening and staffing wise there right now. So there's for sure, if you're still interested, we can reach out to. 4 representatives of the economic sector, so representative of agriculture, there's 2 really strong agricultural representatives on the committee. The committee's been around so long that one of those people have passed away, but still good representation from all the industries on the committee. For general public and environmental people, so environmental interest groups, they're able to participate on the committee. 2 First Nations members, and then we have 3 non-voting technical members. So a representative of the Ministry of Environment, representative of the Health Unit, and then I'm representative of the Conservation Authority Board, which is Mike Kirby from Center Hastings. He represents the Conservation Authority Board. Next slide, please. The general process, and I'm not doing this any justice because there was a lot of work done, was to review the science and complete the technical studies on how water flows in the Quinte watershed, how much water we have, how vulnerable our water is. We have a total of 11 municipal drinking water systems, so it's important to recognize source water protection focused on municipal drinking water, not private wells. It's very unfortunate that that wasn't included because 50% of the residents in this area rely on private wells. However, that's what was prescribed to us by the province, so we followed the rules. Here we have a map. On the lower part of the slide is our surface water drinking systems, 7 in total. By far and wide, the vast majority rely on our surface water, City of Noble, Town of Napanee, Town of Picton, Wellington. And at the top, little picture there, you'll see there's 4 municipal groundwater supplies. Tweed is one of them, Madoc is another, Deloro, and then down in Prince Edward County, we have a small subdivision referred to as Pete's Point, supplies about 50 people. So all of that information was put together in an assessment report, reviewed and approved by the province before the Source Protection Committee went ahead and developed the Source Water Protection Plan. They had to know what they were protecting. The Source Protection Plan contains 63 different policies that the approach of our Source Protection Committee was try to manage existing drinking water threats without putting too much hardship on existing people that were doing activities that could be considered a drinking water threat, and put in policies to try to prevent future drinking water threats. So when people are proposing development, what policies can we put in place to help protect the drinking water supply? Through the whole process, extensive public and stakeholder consultation. All the people that lived in the areas that we delineated, these wellhead protection areas, which you'll see shortly for Tweed, they were all sent letters notifying that there could be a drinking water threat on their property and there may be policies that could affect them. We also did public consultation with all the different government agencies that would be involved in source water protection and the municipalities, you guys. I was here at quite a few meetings over the time. I do not remember the council chambers being back here. I thought it was that way, but maybe time has passed. Currently, we're at the implementing the source protection plan stage, where we go out and do risk management plans with the individual landowners. Myself, I'm also the risk management official. I have done risk management plans with the landowners in your wellhead protection area, negotiating things that they can do to help protect the drinking water. We review development plans as they come in and provide source water protection comments. We do inspection and enforcement. I will say pretty much no enforcement. I got to say the people in the Quinte and Tweed have been awesome. Once you explain to them what the situation is and why they have to do certain things a certain way in their property, they get it. And I can't say as I've ever run into anybody that wants to contaminate the municipal water supply. And some of your landowners here in Tweed have made very significant sacrifices to protect your water. And then we monitor what's going on, report back. The source protection plan is a living document. So it is reviewed. It's our first attempt at addressing drinking water threats. We see how things work, go back to the committee and report to them what's been going on and make changes accordingly. And just hold on to that one because I will be bringing that up later in the presentation. Next slide, please. So this slide shows the wellhead protection area. The two wells, the one at the north being well 1, that's up by the water tower. That well is on standby, as you know, not used because of water quality problems. And then well 3 down on Crookston Road, adjacent to the River Road subdivision that we're going to talk about here shortly. The blue circles are the, excuse me if I use acronyms because there's so many acronyms and terminology that have come out of source water protection. It's unreal, but we call it a wellhead protection area. In short, we say WAPA. So that's the WAPA A, the 100-meter radius. The next zone out is the 2-year in the green. So that's the WAPA B. So basically we have A, B, C, D running out to 25-year. The yellow is the 5-year. And what this means is in each of these zones, the groundwater can move towards the well within that time frame. So the further away from the well, the longer it's going to take. And this required a lot of work determining where the groundwater was, how fast it's flowing, the direction it flows. And it all went into a big computer model and delineated these zones. The first 2 zones, the WAPA A, the 100-meter radius, and the 2-year are the most significant. And I'm going to explain that here in a second. Next slide, please. So in addition to looking at how groundwater moves towards the well, we were required to assess how vulnerable the groundwater is. So in the table there, you can see the different zones, the 100-meter, 2-year, 5-year, and 25-year, with the scores on different levels of aquifer vulnerability. So when we talk about aquifer vulnerability, it's how protected is that groundwater? Is there a 100-foot layer of clay above the water table, or is there sand or shallow soil over fractured rock? Well, in the whole Quinte area, we have thin soils. Tweed a little bit better. We have some soil cover, but good or bad, it's sandy soils in your wellhead protection area. Water moves through it really quickly. We have the highest vulnerability scores that are possible. So you'll see right there in that column highlighted in red, 10 for the A and B, 8 for the C, and 6 for the Z, the D, the 25-year time of travel. So this is important when it comes to evaluating drinking water threats. A and B are the zones where you can have significant drinking water threats and the focus of risk management plans. Next slide, please. So we were also told what a drinking water threat is by the province. We weren't able to come up with our own list. So here is a summary of the 22 different categories that we were able to use. Waste disposal sites, sewage, it's a broad and general category, includes septic systems, stormwater ponds, wastewater pipes, sewage pumping stations, anything related to sewage falls in that category. Agricultural, they had some funny terms. So where you see in this box on the green, application of ASM, ASM, that stands for agricultural source material, basically manure, but that's how the source water people call it. Storage of manure, the management and handling of manure. NASM is a non-agricultural source material, such as sewage biosolids that could be spread on the farm fields. Fertilizer application, the handling and storage of fertilizer, pesticides, livestock, housing and grazing. And on the right, we'll have application of road salt, the handling and storage of road salt, storage of snow from parking lots where they're piling up snow. I never thought snow was a drinking water threat, but it has a lot of contaminants in it when it's been on the road and subjected to salting. And then we have drinking water threats related to industrial and commercial uses, handling and storage of fuel, and residential as well, because that's the main one here in Tweed. Handling storage of DNAPLs, another acronym, dense non-aqueous phase liquid. Those are nasty chemicals that sink in the groundwater, very hard to clean up. Handling and storage of organic solvents, aircraft de-icing, which we don't have to worry too much about here in the Quinte area, but nonetheless, it was a drinking water threat prescribed by the province. Recently, they've added pipelines, so pipelines that would be conveying oil. If there's a leak in the pipeline, obviously that would be a drinking water threat. And then lastly, 2 water quantity threats. So we went through a whole water budget exercise, evaluating how much water we have here in the Quinte area versus how much is being used. And none of our municipal systems have the water quantity threat category. So we don't have any policies related to water quantity. Next slide, please. I'll quickly go through. This is the tables of drinking water threats for the Tweed drinking water system. Feel free to go through them if you like, but I'll go on to the next slide just to give you a quick summary here. In total, in that wellhead protection area that I showed you, there were 123 different properties with 194 different prescribed drinking water threats identified through this process. So those were all taken into consideration when the source water protection plan was developed. Just a quick little summary there at the bottom. Some of the more common ones were the application of fertilizers, manures, individual septic systems, where homes had septic systems, and fuel storage, where people are using home heating oil or fuel for tractors, that type of thing. Next slide, please. So we again were prescribed with tools by the province on how we could manage these drinking water threats. And here is a list of the tools that we had to work with. At the top here in the red are the powers that the risk management official, that's myself, for you guys on behalf of the municipality, which is prohibition, risk management plans, and restricted land uses. So it's important to understand that those powers don't apply to all the different categories of drinking water threats. The 2 threats on the previous slides, the waste threats and the sewage threats, none of these powers can be applied by the risk management official. So I have no say when it comes to prohibition or a risk management plan. Those rest with the building inspector as well as the Ministry of Environment, which leads me right into the next one. And they call it prescribed instruments. So activities that require an environmental compliance approval by the province. They are required to build in conditions in the approval to help protect the municipal drinking water supply. We also have policies for land use planning where Jason at the county would change official plans and zoning bylaws to recognize that these source water protection areas are vulnerable to contamination and need to be protected. Incentive programs, we unfortunately do not have any incentive programs because of lack of funding. Those would be where there's incentives for people to do things on their property. We did have prior to the source protection plan, and I have a few slides to talk to that in a minute here. Did you have a question?
I was just going to say, when I was on council, we did have plans to help deal with the containment of manure and stuff.
A lot of the drinking water threats were addressed through that program, and I'm so happy. I was part of that. I'm so happy we were able to do that because it makes the job a lot easier if you can go out and say, hey, here's a little bit of money to help to go towards fixing these problems. But we don't have that currently. Education and outreach is the last tool, kind of the tool with the least, I guess we'll say, amount of power. But I always believe it's easier to convince people of why it is a problem and have them understand it and try to do something about it themselves. And I think it fits with the rest as opposed to the ones at the top there where we actually prohibit something. Next slide, please. So just quickly, the source protection plan does have things that are prohibited. Some were unavoidable. I mentioned that the Source Protection Committee tried to manage existing threats, but some just couldn't be. So this list here on this slide, the two red circles around the two wells are the 100-meter radius. This is a list of activities that are prohibited in those zones. So you can't store manure, you can't apply manure or NASM, you can't apply commercial fertilizers or pesticides. The grazing of livestock or outdoor confinement, so barnyards, are not permitted in those zones. The handling and storage of road salt, so not necessarily the application of road salt, but the handling and storage, like a salt dome, big quantities, that's not permitted, obvious. Storage of fuel greater than 250 liters, so a residential size heating oil tank would be prohibited in those zones, and chemical storage. So all kind of obvious things you wouldn't want to do right next to your well. Next slide, please. When we move out to the Wapiti, the 2-year time of travel, we're getting farther away from the well. So you can see the list does drop considerably. So these are things that are prohibited. The handling and storage of road salt, no salt domes, no big quantities of salt stored out there. Storage of fuel is prohibited for future. Note the quantity, so greater than 2,500 liters. That's a pretty big tank, more than a typical residential tank, and chemical storages are prohibited there. The other thing that is important that was identified to be included in the source protection plan were policies for transport pathways. So transport pathways are conduits that things at the surface can short circuit and get into the groundwater a lot quicker. So there was a couple policies written that actually implement the municipality to ask for information if anybody is going to create a transport pathway on a property, that they demonstrate that it's not going to impact the water supply. So things like ditches, ponds, swales, geothermal heating, we said that that's a no-no. At the time we were doing this plan, the new school, they intended to put geothermal heating in. And I had some discussions with the board superintendent or superintendent of maintenance, can't remember his exact title, but he basically made the decision that it wouldn't be a good idea to have these pipes with chemicals circulating through them deep into the ground next to the wellhead protection area. So he did voluntarily back off. And I don't like to see that because I'm in support of green energy and I think it would have been a great thing to do, but just the wrong place. Right next to a municipal well is not the spot to do that. Next slide, please. Okay, I mentioned we did have some incentive programs and that we're able to help with funding. They call that early action and early response funding. So we in communication with the landowners throughout the wellhead protection area, these pictures are of projects that were undertaken here in Tweed. I tried to kind of cut off anything that would identify any of these properties because bear in mind, there were problems. They weren't necessarily doing anything wrong because there wasn't policies in place, but there were problems we identified that had to be fixed. So there were a number of wells that make me shudder. The top picture there on the left, if you see the small hole in the bottom, it is a drilled well in a well pit that was in a barnyard that had a water bowl on top, and cows would go there and drink the water and kind of know what cows do after drinking water. But in the bottom of that pit was not good. So that well's gone and a new well was installed. We have another well at the bottom left, was right next to the municipal well. It looks like it was a kind of a well pit built out of an old 45-gallon drum. That person volunteered that well to be decommissioned properly. We actually brought the Source Water Protection Committee up here on a bit of a tour and showed them how a well would get decommissioned, and also stopped at one of the neighboring farms to see some of the things that he had done to help protect the water. But basically, there's two examples of where if something bad happened on the surface, the municipal water could have got contaminated significantly, such as an accident. The one on the bottom, that lady had already connected into the municipal drinking water supply, so she wasn't using the well. They just forget about them, but you have to look after old wells. And the picture on the right is one of the wells that was properly constructed with a proper casing above grade. Next slide, please. Livestock grazing. This picture on the left is your municipal well, and if you look close, and if you can see what's in the background there, it's now a prohibited activity. Wasn't prohibited at the time. That landowner worked to build a new fence, and those cattle are all fenced out of the 100-meter radius, the WAPA A, and everything is fine. So complete cooperation there, understood why, but this was something that we've learned you shouldn't be doing. Next slide, please. Oil tanks, one of the #1 threats here in Tweed. You can see the picture on the left, that rusty old oil tank sitting on a cinder block, not even a concrete base underneath it. The pipe goes down into the ground, into the house, a no-no, several code violations there. We have examples of 2 tanks on the right that were replaced, one inside the building. These are double bottom tanks, so there's an alarm if the inner breach, or if the inner level of the tank is breached, an alarm pops up and people have time to react before a spill occurs. The one on the bottom also, proper concrete pad shield on the pipes coming out of the tank to make sure that any ice falling off the roof doesn't break the pipes and we end up with a spill. These tanks, all of them, including the bad one, are very close to municipal well, but they're managed. So we do have risk management plans for the oil tanks. Next slide, please. Livestock housing was another item. We had some feedlots that were open, so no coverage, no roof, meaning like if there's rain, any of the water will take what's in the feedlot, run off the ground surface, potentially getting towards the municipal well. This barn, a new roof was put up, as well as a proper manure clean out at the end where they can get into the tractor, push it into this clean out, which is also covered and built to concrete, and then taken away and managed properly. Another great project. Next slide. Okay. In addition to the work under source water, there's always things that are evolving. One of the things that I do for you guys is on a 2-year cycle, I review the water level and water quality data from your municipal wells as a condition of your permit to take water. And one of the things that I look at are the nitrate levels. And here we have a slide of a graph from 2013 up to 2025. 2013 on the left-hand side. The green line is the level of nitrates. And you can see that the nitrates were gradually creeping up. I circled that area where they kind of started increasing. And I raised the alarm bells because I was getting quite concerned about this. The drinking water standard for nitrates is 10, which is at the top of the graph. In the middle, the blue line is 5. So once it crosses that halfway point, it's time to take action. So a number of things were done. I recommended the municipality to get treatment, and I'm really happy to hear you got the funding in place to put the treatment. That's one of the barriers that are available to help provide safe supply to the residents. But the other thing was, what is the source of the nitrogen? So what we did was we got an issues contributing area established. We had to amend the source water protection plan. That enabled us to do risk management plans for the whole wellhead protection area. So moving out beyond the 2-year time of travel, all the way out to the 25-year time of travel. And 2023 is when you could see the graph, or did a spike when we got that issues contributing area established. 2024, I was out there doing risk management plans with the farmers on their use of fertilizers. So they had to make changes in their operations, doing additional soil tests, managing their fertilizers a little bit better. And I gotta say, I'm amazed at the cooperation, complete cooperation I got from these landowners. No funding available to help them with this. These are sacrifices that they made. I took out graphs and I showed them, like, there's what's happening to the municipal drinking water supply. As your fertilizers, you don't want to be wasting fertilizers. Expensive. It's going into the ground. They listened, and it's only been 2 years, so I don't want to be too brash about the results, but so far, if you look at the green line, the levels are dropping. We're down below the halfway, the 5. So still go ahead with your treatment, please. Don't rely completely on risk management plans to manage the fertilizers, but I think the two are going to work together quite well. And I believe from the farmers I've talked to, that they're quite happy. They're saving money and they haven't seen much change in their crop yields. Next slide, please. The other problem with the Tweed wells, well 1 up on the hill, is the elevated uranium levels. So this is another graph. The yellow line down at the bottom of the graph is the drinking water standard, which is 20. And you can see the levels there. They're up around 300 to 400 sky high levels. So it's not feasible to pump the water from that well and treat it. And I understand part of the plan of the upgrades this year is to decommission that well. So I'm pointing that out because your reliance now is basically on the one well system. And next slide, please. The other thing that was done before source water protection was the municipality had this study completed. It's called the Microbial Contamination Control Plan. And the reason behind that is well 3 is what's considered to be a GUDI well. It's another one of these acronyms, GUDI, G-U-D-I, stands for groundwater under the direct influence of surface water. So it's very vulnerable to contamination. And the municipality had to commission this study as required by the province to make sure that anything within these zones are managed properly. The biggest thing is transport pathways, ponds, ditches, swales, roads. Digging trenches in the roads creates a preferential pathway directing water towards the well. Basically, it's all listed here. Anything that will decrease the soils and reduce the filtration of land use activities at the surface. Next slide, please. So again, before source water came along, they did this microbial contamination control plan. The things that were considered important are within the 50-day time of travel. So we recall we had a 100-meter radius or 100-meter radius and a 2-year time of travel. This purple line on the diagram here is the 50-day time of travel. So that's around your well 3 on Crookston Road. Next slide, please. Finally, I got to the subdivision.
We are running out of time.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
I apologize.
Usually it's 15 minutes.
Oh, okay.
This has been a good education session, but we should probably held it as an education session.
Okay. Yeah, I had talked to Lucas when we discussed it, and he said, well, no, I'm inviting you so you can go over the 10, but
Yeah.
I'm guilty of trying to give you guys too much
That's okay.
information, but I thought it was really important for you guys all to hear this because you have an important decision to make here. So the proposed development has come along, and I show it here on the slide near your well 3 and the recently added well 4, which is going to be brought in as part of the improvements to the well program. This is your sole water supply. So you no longer have an alternative water supply to rely on. So it's very important to recognize any of the potential impacts that could interfere with the water quality of this water supply. This diagram shows the WAPA A, the 100-meter radius in the red circle, and the proposed development with the road, stormwater pond, You'll see very close to the water supply wells. So the biggest issues that I've identified with the development are basements. They are excavations in the ground. They're considered to be transport pathways. Stormwater pond is obviously something that's not permissive in terms of the microbial contamination control plan. Swales, there are proposed open swales on this property. The grade on the property is to be changed. There will be sewer pipes and infrastructure in the ground. Those are significant drinking water threats. Those pipes could leak and it could end up contaminating the water supply. The consultants that did this study, they did a great job. I've spoken to the gentleman personally, very nice fellow to talk to. They have mentioned the microbial contamination control plan in the study, but they haven't shown how this development meets the requirements of the microbial control plan. Now that's something that needs to be done. And I think I will pursue that. Like, hey, you're proposing this, you have to demonstrate how it meets the plan. Road salt, I mentioned, is a drinking water threat. There are risk management plans that will be developed or can be developed to help manage how much road salt is being used there. Again, the project consultants have identified that the well may be impacted by the road salt, which it's your only water supply. That's scary. So how much is that impact? Is it going to be a little impact? Is it going to be huge impact? There was no evaluation completed to say what level of impact that would be. And that's
Because one of the things you had mentioned earlier in the guidelines, you could not store road salt, but it said it did not exclude you from using road salt.
correct.
Correct? Okay.
Yeah. And that could be worked out in a risk management plan. It would be something that would implement the municipality on restrictions on tightening up how they use salt. But aside from that, they're still probably going to use salt because in this day and age of liability, if you don't do winter road maintenance, and what happens, like that well is so close to the road. What happens if somebody slid off the road and hit the well and there was a fuel leak there? It's scary. It's really close to the well. So basic point I'm trying to make there is it needs to be quantification of how much that impact is. Regulation 903, that's a Ministry of Environment regulation, which I have another slide I'm going to talk about in relation to, say, accidents. But the other part of this that concerns me, because it happens all the time throughout the province, is what happens if one of these houses catches fire and the fire department shows up. They have the firefighting foams, which are full of chemicals, and they have to put the fire out. Where is that going to go? Like, there's no room for comfort here. These houses are right up against the well. And if an accident happens, and this is outside the source protection plan because we can't regulate accidents, I'd be scared. Next slide, please. So this slide here, the two yellow circles are the 15-meter radius around each of the wells. So I relate that back to Regulation 903. That's the regulation that governs water well construction. It says that a new well shall be sited 15 meters from any source of contamination. So the road and the use of road salt is a source of contamination. The stormwater pond is another source of contamination. If this was the reverse way around, if the subdivision was already there and you hired a hydrogeologist and a well driller to come and install these wells, they'd say no. You're too close to these sources of contamination. You've got to find a different spot. So this is all important information that you need to consider, like basically reverse engineering. The wells were put in first. Now we have a proposal to do a subdivision. It's great. I know the municipality needs more houses and it fits well within the urban boundaries of Tweed. It's just things are a little too close. Next slide, please. So I include this slide because we do have limitations in the source protection plan and what we can and can't do. But the municipality does have authority and powers under your urban secondary plan. So I've just copied it and put it in here. I'll read it to you. The County of Hastings and member municipalities will protect the quantity and quality of all municipal drinking water supplies and designated municipal wellhead protection areas. Further to that, the provincial policy statement also indicates municipalities shall protect their municipal drinking water supplies. The stormwater pond itself, we don't have a policy in the source protection plan to prohibit that. And I've given this a lot of thought because I was like, I really don't want to be an obstructionist to development, but my job is to help you protect your water supply. So I have done some research and found that other conservation authorities, source protection regions to the east actually do have policies in their source protection plan that directs the Ministry of Environment through the prescribed instrument to prohibit stormwater ponds in the WAPA A, the 100-meter radius. Now, unfortunately, we do not have that. And I mentioned earlier that the source protection plan is a living document, and we monitor, we go back to the committee, tell them what some of the issues are. I would like to go back to the source protection committee with this situation to see whether we can, in future iterations of the plan, have a similar policy that would prohibit stormwater ponds next to municipal wells in the wellhead protection area A. Now, that's something that doesn't happen overnight, because when we get dealing with the Ministry of Environment, it is a fairly lengthy process to have plans amended. So with that, I apologize for taking so long, but I really wanted to get you the information, and I hope you have everything that you need to make the right decision. And please ask any questions.
Well, if I may, well, thank you very much for the thorough overview. And it was good for us to get that, because it's been a while since we've touched upon this subject. I think our major concern, and I've already talked about this with Brad, is that when we had a developers forum, we invited the respective parties to be at the table, not only the developers, but Quinte Conservation, County Planning, and whatnot, to be able to look at what might be some of the issues, okay, before people spend too much money on developing their plans. This was not identified at that time, okay? And then it wasn't identified till almost a year later, but oh my gosh, we got to make sure about these things. So of course, we want to protect our wellhead. We want to protect our source water because it impacts so many people within the community. That's not at risk for us right now. I think we will ultimately say we got to protect that source. It's just that what that developer went through in incurring expenses to get their plan ready, then to find out later. That is the concern. Yeah. So I think what we'll do is, you're right, we'll take this all under advisement. And we'll definitely make I'm sure what will be the right decision. And yes, we do want development, but we don't want development at any expense.
Yeah,
You know,
no,
so.
I agree. No, you have to protect your water supply, because you have a community here that's relying on basically a sole source. That additional well is not like a backup. It's in the same aquifer. You know, sorry, I can't really speak to the earlier
That's okay.
meeting.
We've already had a conversation. We've dealt with it. And that's fine. But anyway, thank you again for bringing this here. I'm sorry, Jason, there's no comments or no direction to you at this time. Does anybody have any other comments or questions? Yes, please go ahead.
Nothing specific, but it was a very pleasant presentation. We appreciate that.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Great. And anytime I'll come up and share more information with you guys, if it's regarding the nitrate issue. As I said, I do that for you on a 2-year cycle. I don't think this is the year, but next year.
Right.
Happy to come back.
I don't know, we don't have a lot of time, so just educate me a little bit, so I understand that it's possible to get the nitrates out. Why can't we do something similar with your uranium?
Oh, good question. So the uranium is naturally occurring. So that well is really deep. deeper than the other two wells. And it's got into a formation that has that naturally in the rock. So when it's there naturally, there's nothing we can do. There are minor levels in the other two wells, but nothing like the well one.
Yeah.
So I think it's a wise decision to seal up well one and be done with it, with the levels being that high. And in addition, it reduces the size of the wellhead protection area. So I'm not sure where the land holdings are in that area, but possible future development up there.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, Councillor Fleeler.
Just a quick question. You referred to the one well as a goodie and the other one, the deep well is not.
Yeah.
By us, closing that well down, will that have any effect on that other well at all?
No, so it relates to the depth the water comes into the well. So if it comes in shallower than 50 feet, it's really close to ground surface. They classify it as a goodie. The well up on the hill, don't quote me, but I was thinking around over 300 feet deep where the water comes in. So that source being so deep is a lot more protected than the shallow one.
Okay.
Okay,
All right.
thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you for that.
Have a good day, guys.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you very much, Dave. We give you a little bit of a break.
Brought coffee.
Okay, at this point, we're going to be moving into closed meeting. Could I have a mover and a seconder to get us into close, please? Thank you, Councillor Valiquette, and thank you, Deputy Mayor Demarche. Be it resolved that council go into a closed meeting at, Lori? 10:26.
You're muted on this.
Oh, sorry. Am I on Zoom now?
Can you mute yourself?
You ready? Thank you. Sorry for that, everyone. Thank you for joining us again. The notification of closed meeting and staff direction. Could I have a mover and a seconder for that, please? Thank you, Councillor Valiquette. Thank you, Deputy Mayor Namarsh. Be it resolved that staff follow council direction from the closed meeting. All in favor? Thank you. Okay, now I just want to note that it's 1:45 and we'll have to, before that, you will monitor about extending our meeting. Okay, could I have a mover and a seconder to table the Chief Administration Officer update as of February 10th, 2026, please? Thank you, Councillor Valiquette. Thank you, Councillor Palmetier. Over to you, Ron.
Good morning and thank you, and through the chair. Just a couple updates. Council has requested in the past that I keep you informed on the legal costs for the Victoria Street file. If you remember, back in the fall, we had a lawyer give us some information on that file. It was about getting compliance with respect to the chief building officer's requests. So to date, the legal costs are approximately $5,500. It's just for information. As the mayor indicated in his update, we were at Roma this year. Through that meeting, as the mayor indicated, we were connected with Deputy Minister Trevor Fleck of Infrastructure Program and Project Division for the Ministry of Infrastructure. Cynthia Lepard, our treasurer, and I had a meeting on February 1st with the minister, and it was a very good meeting. We had a good chat. A few things that he brought up was our requests for grant applications in the past were totally scored, but we did lack a little bit in technical merit. So he gave us some tips for moving forward with that, and we will take his advisement under consideration. This grant that we just got approved for, our Health and Water Safety Stream grant, we used Aqua to help us with that. So their technical input was obviously valuable and made a difference in that grant application. So we're very pleased with that. One of the other things I wanted to bring to your attention, or just a recognition, as the snow falls in the background here, just a quick thank you again to our Parks and Rec staff that have been helping us out with our parking lots, and of course to our works team that are doing the snow removal on our roads and streets and sidewalks. So a big shout out to them, and a big thank you and a big recognition to all their efforts.
Thank you very much. Any questions of the CAO report? Seeing none, be it resolved that council receive the CAO report as presented. All in favor? Thank you. Could I have a mover and a seconder to table the revised 2026 user fee review, please? A mover and a seconder. Thank you, Councillor Valiquette. Thank you, Councillor Palmetier. Okay, any questions on SID review? Yes, Councillor Palmetier.
Just briefly, on ad space for the arena, with our wall time. We have a price for the first time and a price thereafter. First time, not the most expensive time. We have to make those board signs.
I don't think we make them.
No, I think
supply
when I looked into it, they provided the board you had to use, and you had to pay for the board, then you had to pay to have it lettered, so, and then it was installed by staff.
Okay, perfect.
That's what
Move
I
on.
understood.
Thank you.
Any other questions, comments? Okay, thank you. Be it resolved that council receive the revised 2026 user fee review report as presented, and further that council approve the increases to applicable user fees and charges outlined, and further that council direct staff to bring forward a revised user fee bylaw at a future council meeting. All in favor? Thank you. Okay, we already did the closed meeting thing. Notification. Closed meeting. Right? Oh no, my thing moved down. Sorry. Okay, revisions. Could I have a move and a seconder for the revisions to the human resources policy, please? So, thank you, Deputy Mayor Demarche, and thank you, Councillor Valiquette. Any questions on said revisions to the policy? Seeing none, be it resolved that council receive the revisions to human resources policy report as presented, and further council approve the revisions to the human resources policy and direct staff to update the associate bylaw. All in favor? Thank you. Could I have a mover and a seconder to table the cashless transaction report, please? Oops. Oh, sorry. Could I have a mover and a seconder to table the 2026 new staff positions? Mover and a seconder, please. Thank you, Councillor Bellicut, and thank you, Councillor Palmetier. This new staff position, the one that we're looking at addressing shortly is to bring in a deputy treasurer. This is more so from a succession planning perspective because our current treasurer is temporary and we want to make sure that we have something in place for a succession plan. So we've had a great discussion on that. And then the other one is this is the facilities manager, which would be addressed later when we're looking at budget. But just to make people aware of that, go ahead. Yes,
Your worship, I don't agree with the facilities manager right now at this point,
but I think we come with a budget. Okay, we're not
But
going to discuss it now.
but I don't,
It's okay. Okay,
I don't even want to consider that position right now.
okay,
That's
that's
all.
okay.
So,
That's fine. Thank you. Anybody else? Any questions? Seeing none.
It's
Uh,
gonna come forward with
It'll come with a future.
conversation.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, not here. It was just tabled as an information item to be discussed later. Be it resolved, the council receive the report as presented and further the council give pre-budget approval for the hiring of a deputy treasurer position with the ability to use special purpose steps. And further that facility manager position be referred to the operating budget. All in favor? Thank you. Okay, sorry, sorry about that, Cindy. Excuse me. Could I have a mover and a seconder to table the cashless transactions report, please? Thank you. Oh, my gosh, thank you, Councilor Valiquette, and thank you, Councilor Palmetier. Over to you, Cindy.
Yeah, thank you, your worship. So this report to council is asking permission to go cashless. We've identified a number of reasons for this. So there's several municipalities have already done this. And the reason for asking this is there's several reasons. It reduces the risk of theft or robbery. It reduces counterfeit risk. There are a lot of administrative efficiencies and reconciliation efforts that will not be necessary if we go cashless. So there's all sorts of other forms of payments, and people can also sign up for pre-authorized payment, which will actually help the cash flow for the municipality. So essentially, we're just asking for that by July 1st, that the municipality goes cashless.
Okay, any questions from council? Yes, Deputy Mayor.
Through the mayor, I mean, we have, it looks like we have large cash deposits, which just looking at this seems to be still a popular form of payment for the municipality. And I mean, I think I appreciate everything you said, but I think if we have the proper processes in place for counterfeits and stuff, that there could be mitigation here. So I'm not prepared to eliminate cash at this time just because of I see the uptick in it.
Any other questions? Yes, Councilor
Your
Flick.
worship, I know it might be to our advantage to move to cashless, but I think there are people that don't deal with internet transactions or checking accounts. They deal in cash specifically. And I know there's an opportunity for counterfeit money to be passed off. I don't know how we can. I think it'd be. I definitely think we need to look at it, but I don't know how quickly we need to do it, to tell you the honest truth.
Yes, Councilor Palmetier.
Your worship, to the treasurer, is there any advantage still found if we had a limit on cash, whether it was $100, anything over $100 is cashless, or is it that negate any of the issues?
So thank you through the chair. I think if we're going to accept any amount, like it's either cashless or not cashless, it doesn't really matter the amount. It's just going cashless kind of simplifies having to make trips to the bank or that kind of issue. So I don't think setting a limit would really assist very much.
Your worship, just to follow that, that's the only time I can see the necessity for it is on things like burn permits, but this is the world we're moving to, is cashless, and it's just, it's to make everything cleaner for both sides.
And do we, like, you can use your ATM card, like, your, to pay for, like, if you're buying, like a burn pit, for example,
Debit?
your debit card?
Yes, I believe you can use your debit card at the front counter, yeah,
Okay.
for sure. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, any other questions? Okay, then I'll put this to a vote. Be it resolved that council receive the cashless transaction report as presented, and further that council approve the change of procedure that cash payments no longer be accepted at any municipality or Tweed facility, effective July 1st, 2026. All in favor? Thank you. Motion passed. I'm sorry. No. Could I have a mover and a seconder to table the payroll function outsourcing? Thank you, Councilor Valiquette. Thank you, Councilor Palmetier. Any questions on this? I'll turn it over to you, Cindy. You can walk us through it. Sorry about that. My gosh.
Okay, thank you, Your Worship. So essentially, we're asking to outsource payroll, and we're asking that we can use ADP to do this outsourcing. I've worked with ADP in the past at a prior municipality, and the payroll function was very, very smooth and very easy, and it eliminated hours and hours and hours of work. Plus, it's also done correctly, like everything is done correctly. Remittances are paid on time, and we don't have to worry about those type of issues. Also, it's fairly simple once a payroll. So there's a lot of different things included in this, and one of it is automated timesheets. So right now, employees are filling out timesheets. I think they're in Excel, and then the manager signs off, and then they go to the payroll person, and they're keeping multitude of timesheets and vacation time and all the rest of this. This is all automated now. This would be all automated, and we wouldn't have to worry about that. In fact, when an employee would go into this time system actually to request vacation too, and when they do that, it gets sent over to the manager, who then approves it. But for time reporting, their time gets automatically sent to the manager, who approves it. It automatically goes to ADP for payment. What happens is, once I understand, and actually we have Sarah on the line here, and thank you very much, because she's our ADP person, but she can also help explain some of these issues. So I'm just saying that. So the time reporting system is much better. We can be assured that remittances are paid on time and the staff are being paid properly. There's also an HR component to this system, and we don't have an HR person, but we have the ability to, with ADP, they have HR experts. And one thing I really wanted to mention too is that this package includes an employee and family assistance program. So employees will be able to, if they have any issues, reach out to a counselor under this program through no other further costs, and reach out and get help when they need help. So Sarah, maybe I'll pass it over to you if you can kind of briefly describe what this is all about.
Absolutely. Thank you all so much for having me today. I really appreciate you looping me in with this. So what we do here with this is we do a more co-managed approach. So we do still need someone in the seat on your end, but we take a lot of that auditing and remitting responsibility off of your plate and onto ADP's plate. So we would put someone who's PCP certified onto your account. They are a certified payroll practitioner. They're going to be there partnering with you all. I believe it's Kate who's doing the payroll right now, which takes about, she's mentioned 4 to 6 hours, depending on the week, which is quite a bit longer than the standard client that we have here. It's usually about 30 minutes is what we see. So we're going to take a lot of that responsibility off of her plate and put it onto ADP's, just auditing, as Cindy had mentioned, with the timesheets as well, and just going into that and making sure we will flag if we see somebody's hours aren't correct. We do a full variance report, payroll to payroll run, just to make sure if we do see a large discrepancy that we're going in and we're catching that before the payroll is even submitted. We also audit your T4s throughout the year multiple times as well, so that come T4 season, there's no big surprises there and everything goes smoothly for you. As Cindy had mentioned as well, you do also get an HR business partner with this too. So any kind of like legislation updates that are non-payroll impacting comes included with this as well, and just a phone a friend for really just those day-to-day questions that you might have too. Any questions that you might have around the package and what all is included with this?
So Sarah, you would also remit CPP, EI, OMERS, all of that kind of stuff, that we don't have to do that anymore?
Yep, as long as you provide the information and as long as they provide, they'll take either a manual check or a direct deposit, we will do all those remittances on your behalf. We just have to be provided that information during implementation.
Okay. Okay, thank you very much for that. In talking with Cindy earlier, she had indicated that payroll is a very convoluted beast. And you really should have a particular designation on our end to be able to deal with it effectively. And we don't currently have that right now. So this is a wonderful opportunity for us to capitalize on having someone take care of that for us. So thank you very much for joining us. And anybody else have any other questions? Seeing none. Okay, I'm sorry, I got to log back in here. Thank you very much, Cindy and Sarah. Be it resolved that council receive the payroll function outsourcing report as presented, and further that council approve the outsourcing of the municipality's payroll function to ADP with pre-budget approval, and further that the mayor, CEO, clerk be authorized to execute an agreement with ADP. All in favor? Thank you. And also thank you for the discounts and everything and working with us in this period of transition. We really appreciate that, Sarah.
Absolutely. Happy to help. Thank you all for having me today. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Can we extend the time, please?
Yes. I need a motion.
Mayor, I'll put a motion to suspend the rules.
Okay. Okay, and then seconded by Councillor Valiquette. All in favor? Thank you. So that only gives us 1 hour, so we got to make our way through all this. Okay, could I have a move and a seconder to table the Public Works Manager update, please? Thank you, Councillor Valiquette, and thank you, Deputy Mayor Demarche. Any questions on said report? Okay, seeing none, be it resolved that council receive the Public Works Department update report as presented. All in favor? Thank you.
Your worship, I did have a question about the Queensboro Bridge. We, I put out the information that we were gonna start that a couple weeks ago, because that's what we were told.
Well, there's two things there that I would like to, first of all, I think then all of a sudden we were waiting for Bell to move their telephone pole, telephone pole, I guess you call it. And they hadn't done it. I don't know if they've done it yet. And then the other thing is we've had some extreme cold weather here.
Yeah, I know, but the message that we were told was that it was gonna start. I
Yeah.
put that information out. Now I'm gonna look like a doorknob.
No, I mean, it's easy for, I would just say to
Again.
somebody, look at the weather that we've
Well,
had.
no,
I mean,
realize
people
that.
would understand that.
But,
It's not going to blame you for being a doorknob.
well, I would like to be kept up to speed on what's going on. I don't feel we're getting that.
Okay, Councillor Diskey, CIO Diskey.
Through the chair to the councillor, we're told that the Bell pole will be moved by the end of this week. So we're hoping to get some progress after that. I'm not sure, as the mayor said, whether this weather and snow cover is affecting that opportunity as well. But once we know more, we will update council and put information on our website.
And we should reach out to the bridge installer too and find out what they're looking for because to the weather conditions and everything as well. And then we convey that back to everybody. Yes, Councillor Valiquette.
I just want to agree with Councillor Fleo a little bit because I have been getting some feedback that we thought the bridge was going in and we had been told that it would be nice on some of the larger projects because we're not meeting as often as we used to, just to post an email, just to keep the symbol loop a little bit.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And I would like to, it's Northern Matt, eh? Is that to reach out
Yeah,
and find out what
yeah.
their take on this as well. Okay, thank you, Jim. Councillor Blair. Could I have a mover and a seconder to table the Community Development Parks and Recreation update, please? Thank you, Councillor Palmetier. Thank you, Councillor Fleeler. Any questions on that report? We have Brittany here. That was a good detailed report, by the way. I just want to. Oh, the new street banners. I haven't noticed them yet, so I'm looking forward. Go ahead, Brittany.
Through the chair, they're not up yet, but
Okay.
they'll be up shortly. Yeah.
Okay, no, that's
Yeah.
good. That's good. And it was nice to see that you're able to use the brackets that we put up for the veterans banners as well. So that's going to give us much more visibility in different ways. Any questions or comments? Seeing none. Now be it resolved that council receive the community development and parks and recreation update as presented. All in favor? Thank you. Could I have a mover and a seconder to table the fire department update, please? Thank you, Deputy Mayor DeMarche. Thank you, Councillor Fleeler. Any questions on said report? Seeing none, be it resolved that council receive the fire department update as presented. All in favor? Thank you. Could I have a mover and a seconder to table the January 2026 Annual Control and Livestock Investigation Report, please? Mover and a second. Thank you, Councillor Palmetier. Thank you, Councillor Fleeler. Any questions on said report? Seeing none. Be it resolved that council receive the January 2026 Animal Control and Livestock Investigation Report as presented. All in favor? Animal Control Bylaw. Could I have a mover and a seconder to table the Animal Control Bylaw? Thank you, Deputy Mayor DeMarche, and thank you, Councillor Palmetier. Any questions on that bylaw update? Excuse me. Seeing none. Be it resolved that council receive the Animal Control Bylaw update report as presented. All in favor? Could I have a mover and a seconder to table the municipal election sign bylaw, please? Thank you, Councillor Valiquette. Thank you, Councillor Fleeler. Any questions on said bylaw? Yes, Deputy Mayor DeMarche.
There was, I'm just gonna pull it back up here. Most of those signs are 3 feet by 4 feet. And they wouldn't hit that under 1 meter on that one section. I think it's on the highway. So where you could place it on the highway, when election signs are ordered, you don't order 2 different sizes. Typically you order one size and they're like 3 feet by 4 feet in a lot of cases. So I think that kind of needs to be tweaked just to, that's the normal size anyways. They don't look that big from the highway, but they are, so.
Do you want to offer a suggested size or do you just?
Yeah,
want
I
the-
think that's what.
I would even say if you'd even put it to 2 square meters, you'd be fine. It's just one was a bit tight, I thought.
Okay, I can change that.
Okay. Any questions, comments? Seeing none. Be it resolved that council receive the municipal election signed by law report as presented and further make the one adjustment that was discussed. In regards to signage of the big signs, 2 by 2, is that it?
2 meters square.
2 meters
2
square.
meters square, yeah.
Okay, could I have a mover and a seconder to table the committee of adjustment? No, sorry. The severance application B76/25 gunning. A mover and a seconder. Thank you, Councillor Valiquette. Thank you, Deputy Mayor DeMarche. Any questions or comments on that? Seeing none. Be it resolved that council grant consent for severance application B76/25 with the following conditions. 1, all realty taxes are paid in full. 2, Parkland fee is paid in the amount of $750,000 for the new lot. 3, road widening as required along the severed lot to conform to 33 feet from the center line of the traveled roadway, Crookston Road. 4, Public Works Manager is satisfied with safe site entrance on the severed lot with roadside ditching and drainage. All in favor? Thank you. Bylaws. Oh my God. Bylaw number, can I have a move in a second table bylaw number 2026-10? A bylaw to appoint members of boards and committees for the year 2026. Thank you, Deputy Mayor DeMarche. Thank you, Councillor Valiquette. Any questions on said bylaw? Seeing none, be it resolved that bylaw number 2026-10, appointing members of boards and committees for the year 2026, be read a first, second, third, and final time, passed, signed, and sealed in open council this 10th day of February 2026. All in favor? Thank you. Could I have a mover and a second to table bylaw number 2026-11, a bylaw to appoint an animal control officer and livestock investigator for the municipality of Tweed? A mover and a seconder, please. Thank you, Councillor Fleeler, and thank you, Councillor Palmetier. Any questions on said bylaw? Be it resolved that bylaw number 2026-11 to appoint an animal control officer and livestock investigator for the municipality of Tweed be read a first, second, third, and final time, passed, signed, and sealed in open council this 10th day of February 2026. All in favor? Could I have a mover and a seconder to table bylaw number 2026-12, a bylaw to provide the regulation, restriction, keeping, and licensing of dogs, including the proper installation and maintenance of kennels within the municipality of Tweed, known as the Animal Control Bylaw? A mover and a seconder, please. Thank you, Councillor Palmetier. Thank you, Councillor Valiquette. Any questions on said bylaw? Yes, Deputy Mayor.
I was just looking at this and I couldn't, was there any major changes that I couldn't see? Like, I was trying, I don't know what the other one looked like, so
Oh, sorry.
was there any
Gotcha.
changes from the last one?
It's significantly more comprehensive than the previous bylaw. I think the previous bylaw was 2, maybe 3 pages.
Okay.
This one's considerably more, but we have had it reviewed by Public Works, the CAO, myself, the deputy clerk, and the bylaw officer. We have made amendments and revised it based on a more current application.
So if I may just to follow up, so the significant portions like setbacks from other residences and that stuff virtually remain the same? Or?
Everything that we had in our previous
Okay.
bylaw is incorporated in this bylaw. We've just
Okay.
added a lot more
Okay.
terms to it.
Okay, thank you.
Any questions, comments? Seeing none, be it resolved that bylaw number 2026-12 to provide for the regulation, restriction, keeping, and licensing of dogs, including the proper installation and maintenance of kennels within the municipality of Tweed, known as the Animal Control Bylaw, be read a first, second, and third and final time, passed, signed, and sealed in open council this 10th day of February 2026. All in favor? Thank you. Could I have a mover and a seconder to table bylaw number 2026-13? A bylaw to amend bylaw number 2022-19, being a bylaw to impose administrative monetary penalties for violations of municipal bylaws. A mover and a seconder, please. Thank you, Councillor Valiquette. Thank you, Councillor Palmetier. Any questions on said bylaw? Be it resolved that bylaw number 2026-13, amending AAMP's bylaw number 2022-19 to include animal control bylaw penalties, be read a first, second, third, and final time, passed, signed, and sealed in open council this 10th day of February 2026. All in favor? Thank you. Could I have a mover and a seconder to table bylaw number 2026-14, a bylaw to manage and regulate election signs and election campaign advertisements, including third-party advertising? A mover and a seconder, please. Thank you, Councillor Valiquette. Thank you, Deputy Mayor Demarche. Be it resolved that bylaw 2026-14 to manage and regulate election signs and election campaign advertisements, including third-party advertising, be read a first, second, third, final time, passed, signed, and sealed in open council this 10th day of February 2026. This will include what we talked about earlier. All in favor? Thank you. Could I have a mover and a seconder to table bylaw number 2026-15? A bylaw to convey certain property on Marlbank Road for road-wide purposes. Mover to second, please. Thank you, Councillor Valiquette. Thank you, Councillor Fleeter. Be it resolved that bylaw 2026-15 to convey certain property on Marlbank Road for road widening purposes be read a first, second, third, and final time, passed, signed, and sealed in open council this 10th day of February 2026. All in favor? Thank you. Items for consideration. Could I have a movement and a seconder to table the Tweed Hungerford Agriculture Society request for 2026 events? Thank you, Deputy Mayor Demarche. Thank you, Councillor Palmetier. Any questions on the request? Seeing none, be it resolved that council accept the request from the Tweed Hungerford Agriculture Society for the 2026 events. All in favor? Thank you. Could I have a mover and a seconder to table the Quinte Conservation letter requesting municipal council support for Quinte Conservation to apply as the lead applicant to the Green Municipal GMF Growing Canada's Community Canopies? Mover and a seconder. Thank you, Councillor Valiquette. Thank you, Councillor Deputy Mayor Demarche. As we said, we will review what we can contribute later, but this is just authorizing us that we will send a letter of support at this time. Be it resolved that council, any questions? Be it resolved that council provide a support letter to Quinte Conservation for their application as the lead applicant in the Green Municipal Fund, Growing Canada's Community Canopies. All in favor? Voice awareness. Lori, I'm going to ask you if you could read this one. Could I have a mover and a seconder to table the voice violence awareness and random acts of kindness requested a proclamation that the week of March 9th to the 15th, 2026 be the 30th annual violence awareness and random act of kindness week. I'll move in a seconder, please. Thank you, Councilor Valiquette. Thank you, Councilor Parmentier. Lori, if you would, please.
Whereas the lives of many citizens of Tweed have been directly or indirectly impacted by the ravages of violence, and whereas many Canadians fall prey to senseless acts of violence every year, and this violence can happen in our homes, schools, and our local communities, and whereas by the time a child graduates from high school, they would have seen an estimated 16,000 televised and social media shootings and overall 300,000 acts of violence, and whereas the prevalence of violence in our society makes victims of us all, and whereas random acts of kindness must prevail and overcome random acts of violence, therefore be it resolved that the municipality of Tweed declare the week of March 9th to the 15th, 2026 to be the 30th annual Violence Awareness and Random Act of Kindness Week. And be it further resolved that the residents of the municipality of Tweed are encouraged to continue to support and embrace the ideology and practice random acts of kindness, not only during this special week, but throughout the year.
All in favor? Thank you. Could I have a mover and a seconder to table the Association Municipality of Ontario's AMO OMERS update resolution? Thank you, Councillor Wheeler. Thank you, Deputy Mayor DeMarsh. I'll give this a shot. You might have to take over. Whereas the Ontario Municipal Employees Retirement System OMERS Pension Fund serves over 1,000 employers and over 500,000 employees and retirees from diverse groups, including municipal governments, school boards, libraries, police and fire departments, children's aid societies, and electricity distribution companies. And whereas the long-standing jointly sponsored governance model with two corporate boards has provided stability, accountability, and fairness for both plan members and employers for more than 2 decades. And whereas the Government of Ontario has passed legislative changes to OMERS government structure through Bill 68, and whereas these changes would replace the current OMERS Sponsors Corporation with a new Sponsors Council that would lose its corporate status and independent resources. And whereas the proposed model could allow pension decisions affecting municipal employers and employees to be made without meaningful municipal oversight, increasing financial risk for municipalities and local taxpayers. And whereas municipalities are already under significant financial strain and cannot absorb additional pension costs without consequences for property taxes or local services. Therefore, be it resolved that the municipality of Tweed does not support the legislative changes in the OMERS Act, containing Bill 68, and requests that the Government of Ontario reconsider the advisability of proceeding with these changes. And further, be it resolved that the municipality of Tweed supports the Association of Municipalities of Ontario, AMO, in calling on the Government of Ontario to maintain the current OMERS governance model with 2 corporate boards as the structure that would best deliver on the long-term interests of municipalities, taxpayers, and employees. And being further resolved that this resolution be circulated to the Honorable Rob Flack, Minister of Housing and Municipal Affairs, the Honorable Peter Bethlen-McLeod, Minister of Finance, MPP Rick Brisset, Hastings, Lennox, Addington, the Associated Municipalities of Ontario, and I'm going to ask it be sent to the Warden of Hastings County as well, because we've asked for people to do this. All in favor? Thank you. Together Through Pain. Could I have a mover and a seconder to table Aidan Ang's founder and executive director of Together Through Pain formally requests their upcoming community fundraising event, Family Fun Dance, be declared municipal significant for the purposes of obtaining a special location permit liquor license. Thank you, Councillor Parmentier. Thank you, Councillor Valiquette. Any questions on said request? Seeing none, be it resolved that the Together Through Pain community fundraising event and Family Fun Dance be declared municipal significant for the purposes of obtaining a special occasions permit. All in favor? Could I have a mover and a seconder to table a change to the February date budget meeting? The next budget meeting is set for February 12th. Staff will not be ready for the presentation of the operating for this date and request an extension. Could I have a mover and a seconder to get that on the table, please? Thank you, Councillor Palmetier. Thank you, Councillor Flaler. What date would we be looking at, CIO Diskey?
Through the chair, we were looking at March 19th AM meeting, so 9 AM start.
Okay. Be it resolved that the next budget meeting will be set for 9 AM on March 19th, 2026. All in favor? Everybody okay? Okay, thank you. Correspondence. Could I have a mover and a seconder to table correspondence information, please? A mover and a seconder. Thank you, Deputy Mayor DeMarche. Thank you, Councillor Palmetier. Is there anything that anybody wants to bring out of that, all that correspondence? Yes, Councillor Fleeter.
Your worship, 15.1, I just asked that we defer that to
The next
Meeting.
council? Okay.
yeah.
That would be CT News article. Please confirm breed of dogs that fatally attacks a 13-year-old Nova Scotian boy. That will be deferred to the next meeting. Is there anything else in there that anybody wants to bring out? A lot of correspondence there. I see all of our presentations at the Roma conference are also included in the list. Okay, seeing none, I'm going to go back up here. Be it resolved that the correspondence information be received and filed with item 15.1 being deferred to the next council meeting. All in favor? Thank you. All the way down here. Could I have a mover and a seconder to table the committee board minutes, please? Thank you, Councilor Palmetier. Thank you, Deputy Mayor DeMarche. Any questions on those minutes? Seeing none, be it resolved that council receive the committee board minutes as presented. All in favor? Can I have a mover and a seconder for the conformatory bylaw, please? Thank you, Councilor Palmetier. Thank you, Councilor Valiquette. Be it resolved that the conformatory bylaw number 2026-16 be read a first, second, third, and final time, passed, signed, and sealed in open council this 10th day of February 2026. All in favor? Thank you. And could I have a mover and a seconder to adjourn? Thank you, Councilor Palmetier. Thank you, Councilor Fleeler. Be it resolved that council adjourn laureate. There we go. Wow. Thanks, gang.
15 minutes. Took them.
Yeah,
Only your voice wouldn't have failed.
that's it. Well, that's good.
We'll